multiply integers. Let's start with something basic. 4 times 5 means 4 groups of 5. So here we have 4 groups, and each group has 5 positives. Altogether, we have 5, 10, 15, 20. 20 positives. So our answer is positive 20. Let's just change that positive 5 to a negative 5. So now we have 4 groups of 5 negatives. So we have 4 groups, and each one has 5 reds or 5 negatives. So altogether, we have 20 negatives or negative 20. If we have 6 times negative 3, that means we have 6 groups of 3 negatives. So we have 6 groups here. Each one has 3 negatives. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So we have 18 reds or negative 18 as our final answer. Let's say we have negative 6 to start off. Negative 6 times 2. Well, it's kind of hard to make negative groups, so if we can, we could switch them around. This is called the commutative property. Like 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. 2 plus 5 is the same thing as 5 plus 2. So we can flip-flop these and rewrite it as 2 times negative 6, which means 2 groups of negative 6, which is negative 12. But this won't always work because sometimes we have 2 negative numbers that we need to work with. So another way to think about it is instead of this first number saying that it's a negative, you can say the opposite of all of that other stuff. So if we have this, we can rewrite it as the opposite of 6 times negative 8. And then if we knew that 6 groups of negative 8 is negative 48, we then continue to take the opposite of that and turn that negative into a positive. Here's what it looks like using our little integer chips. So for this one, we have the opposite of 6 groups, and those groups are composed of 3 negatives. So I made the groups negative because I need to remember that I need to take the opposite of what's in all of these groups. So I have my 6 opposite groups, and in each of those groups, I have 3 negatives. But then I have to take the opposite of all of that. I cannot forget. So I'm going to turn all of these negatives into a positive. The opposite of a negative is a positive. So then all together at the end, I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 yellows, which is positive 18. So negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18. Let's look at this one. So negative 3 times 4. I'm going to have 3 opposite groups or negative groups, so I'm going to make them red. I have to remember then in the end to take the opposite. So I then put 4 positives in each group. So I have my 3 groups of positive 4. But then I have to take the opposite of all of that. So I'm going to turn all of these positives into negatives. So I have 4, 8, 12. Negative 12 altogether. Let's try one last one. So I have 2 negative or 2 opposite groups, and each group is going to have negative 5. So I have my 2 groups of negative 5, but I have to take the opposite of all of this because I have that extra negative. When I take the opposite of that, the reds turn into yellows. 5, 10. So altogether I have 10 yellows or positive 10. Your turn to give it a try.